Why don't we begin? Once again, good afternoon. We thank you for joining this special webinar to discuss the qualifications and the scope and the intended relief for the Restaurant Restoration Fund. This afternoon, we are joined by Ms. Diana Alfaro. She serves the state of Illinois as the Latino Business Development Manager for the Office of Minority Economic Empowerment at the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. The Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity serves minorities, women, persons with disabilities, and veterans-owned businesses. In Mrs. Alfaro's role, she empowers OMEE target groups by informing them of the resources, services, and incentives available to them from the state, as well as provide them with technical assistance. She is a detail-oriented, well-organized, and quality-driven professional with a proven record, over 6 years of experience with community outreach and 12 years of experience in federal regulation compliance. She is passionate about contributing to her community. She earned a Master's of Science in International Public Service and a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science in Latin American Latino Studies from DePaul Universities. In Mrs. Alfaro's free time, she loves to travel, rock climb, visit caves, and find new friends, I'm assuming. I'm clearly I can benefit from you in that detail we're organized, but we do welcome you. This is a very important topic to our community. We have many small business owners. Many of them have come here to set up small businesses like restaurants to in essence, partake in the American dream. So we welcome your thoughts and ideas to provide whatever knowledge, technical assistance you can to our group. Welcome, Ms. Alfaro.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. I want to start off by acknowledging the 2 months that we're in. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and also we're getting close to the end of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. So I want to acknowledge those 2 months that we're in right now. Thank you so much for having me. We will be going over, as was indicated, the U.S. Small Business Administration, also known as SBA, Restaurant Revitalization Fund, also known as RRF. So this program from the federal government is an emergency assistance program to help restaurants and other qualified businesses with funding due to the pandemic. So this is not a loan. I want to start off that this is not a loan. There is no interest rate. You do not have to pay the money back as long as you use the money as specified for eligible costs. So as long as you use it for eligible costs, you won't have to pay this money back. So it's not like the Payment Protection Program, PPP, where it's the loan, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan from the SBA, where it's a loan that you have to pay back. This program is more set up like a grant program, but they're not calling it a grant. As long as you use the money as indicated, you don't have to pay the money back. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna share my screen. And where can you find all this information? So you can start off in a search engine. I'm going to start off at Google. You're going to type in sba.gov/restaurants to go directly to the RRF page. Now, who's eligible for this program? Now, although it says restaurant in the title, it's not only open to restaurants. It is open to restaurants, food stands, food trucks, food carts, caterers, bars, lounges, taverns, snack and non-alcoholic beverage bars, bakeries, with at least on-site sales for public compromise of at least 33% of gross receipts, breweries, taste rooms, tap rooms of on-site sales of at least 33% of the gross receipts, breweries and microbreweries, again, with at least 33% of their on-site sales or gross receipts, Wineries and distillery on-site sales from the public, at least 33% of the gross receipts. Inns on-site sales of food and beverage to the public, at least being 33% of gross receipts. And licensed facilities or premises of a beverage alcohol producer where the public may taste and purchase products. So this is who's eligible for the program. I also want to let you know that if you're a business owner that uses an ITIN, an identified tax individual tax, oh, I lost the acronym right now, but the ITIN. If you use an ITIN for your business, and you're eligible for this program, you can apply. It doesn't matter if you use an ITIN for your business or an EIN or social security number. So who's not eligible for this program? So if you are a state or local government operated business, you're not eligible for this program. As of March 13, 2020, you own or operated together with any affiliated businesses more than 20 locations, regardless of whether those locations do business under the same or different names. If you have a pending or have received the SBA's Shutter Venue Operators Grant, also known as SVOG, if you receive that grant, you're not eligible for this program. If you are a publicly traded company, if you're permanently closed, if you're a nonprofit organization such as a 501c3, 501c6, 501c19, etc., any type of nonprofit, unfortunately, you're not eligible for this program. And you're not eligible if the funding that you would receive from the SBA is less than $1,000. The minimum amount of money is $1,000 to be received. What type of organization? So if you have an organization structure such as a C corporation, an S corporation, and give me a second because I can hear someone in the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone. Okay. If you're a C corporation, S corporation, if you're a partnership, a limited liability company, a sole proprietor, a self-employed individual, independent contractor, tribal business or LLC taxed as S corporation or sole proprietor, you are eligible for this program as long as you meet one, again, if you're a food truck, restaurant, bakery with at least 33% of on-site gross receipt sales, etc. If you have a franchise business, any business concerned operating as a franchise and meeting all other program requirements is eligible for the RRF. The franchise must be listed on the SBA franchise directory. Now, in regards to bankruptcy, so if you're an applicant that is operating under an approved plan of reorganization under either Chapter 11, Chapter 12, or Chapter 13 bankruptcy and meet all the program requirements, you are eligible for funding. If you're an applicant who's not eligible, that would mean that you're permanently closed. You have filed for Chapter 7 for liquidation bankruptcy, you would not be eligible for this program. Or you filed for either a Chapter 7 or Chapter 11, Chapter 12, and 13, but is not under an approved plan for reorganization. You would not be eligible for this program. And again, any business that's permanently closed that is not planning to reopen is not eligible. If you're temporary closed and plan to reopen and you meet all the other criteria, you are eligible for this program. So now I want to go back to the website. And go over how to apply. Now, in order to apply, there's a couple of different ways to apply. The first is you apply directly with the SBA. So you would apply online at this website here at restaurants.sba.gov, and we'll go there in a second. Or you could also apply directly to one of the partners that the SBA is partnering with, also known as point of sale vendors. So such as Square, Clover, those are the organizations that the SBA is partnering with. So if you use Square, if you use Clover, Aloha, you can apply directly through them and they'll get the information to the SBA. One thing about this is that although this is a program directly from the SBA and it's not a loan program, you do not need to be registered for a DUNS number, which stands for Data Universal Numbering System, which is a 9-digit number that you could obtain online. So if you don't have a DUNS number, no worries, you don't need that for this. You do not need to be registered with stamp.gov, which is a website from the federal government that you need to register with if you're going to receive grant funding from the federal government. You do not need to register with stamp.gov either. So this is a really nice program where they did everything possible to streamline the process and make it as easy as possible to apply. The other nice thing is they have a copy of the application online. So I want to go over that now and give you an idea of the type of questions they're going to ask you. And it's loading. So the type of questions they'll ask you is demographic information. Here we go. So they'll ask you for your demographic information, such as your business, legal name, doing business as, business address, etc. They're also going to ask you for your business identification number. So that's an EIN number, the Social Security number, SSN, or that ITIN I was mentioning earlier. Either three, whichever one you use for your business, you would indicate your business number. You would also indicate your bank information. And then also you would indicate any business owner that has 20% or more equity in the business. So let's say you own a business and you own it with 3 other individuals and each of you own 25% of the business. All 4 business owners will need to be listed here. You would need to indicate each business owner's EIN, Social Security number, or ITIN number. It also asks you information about the type of organization you are. So if you're an LLC, sole proprietor, C corporation, they'll ask you if you're a state or local government operated business. So again, remember, if you are, you can't apply, you're not eligible. So they'll ask you some questions to see if you're eligible or not. So you've received an shutter venue operator grant, an SVOG, etc. They'll ask you the type of eligible business that you are. They'll ask you if you're permanently closed. They'll ask you if you're currently in bankruptcy. And then they'll also ask you information about your PPP. So PPP stands for the Payment Protection Program. If you have received a PPP loan, either in the first draw, which was last year, or the second draw this year, or your first draw this year, depending when you received your first PPP loan, you need to indicate the loan amount that you were awarded. So the way this program works is, if let's say you're eligible for $20,000 and you received $5,000 in PPP loan money, they will subtract that $20,000 money that you're eligible for minus the $5,000 of PPP you received, and so you would only be eligible for $15,000. So that's why they're asking the amount of money that you receive for PPP. They will be subtracting it from the loan amount, the funding amount, because it's not a loan, the funding amount of money that you're eligible for receiving. They'll also ask you if you receive the second draw, affiliates, if you're a franchise, etc. And then they'll go over the calculations. So there's 3 different types of table calculations depending on when your business started. So if your business was in operation before January 1st of 2019, you would go ahead and use this table to calculate the amount of money that you're estimated to receive. And then table 2, table 3, it's depending on when you began your business. It makes the most sense for your business. So definitely look at that sample, because it really does help you understand the type of questions you will be asked in the portal. So here's the portal where you actually apply. So restaurants.sba.gov. This is what the portal looks like. At the moment, you can only apply in English. You will create a username and login, so username and password. One of the things that within the portal that is not on that sample application is that they're going to ask you questions to verify that you are who you say you are. So if you indicate I am the business of XYZ Corporation, they're going to try to find some information about XYZ Corporation, about you, to verify that you are actually the owner. You are actually the person that you say you are, because you are including your banking information, etc. So this is a way to prevent fraud. So those are the only questions that are not on the sample application that you will see while you're going through the portal verification questions. Also, the nice thing in this portal, while you're going through the application, on the left side, it will tell you the estimated amount that you will be awarded. So before you actually submit your application, you'll have an idea of the amount of money that you may potentially receive if you're awarded this program. The other thing, some helpful information I want to share with you, there is a guide, an RF program guide, that goes over this program in detail. So let's say you want to know more of like, how can I use use of eligible funds? So page 10, you want to know exactly how you can use the money. So you can use the money for payroll, you could use the money for payments on any business mortgage, rent, debt service, so principal and interest, any utility payments that you need, any business maintenance expenses, including maintenance on walls, floors, deck surfaces, furniture, fixtures, equipment, construction of outdoor seating, business supplies, business food and beverage expenses, including raw materials, cover supplier costs, etc. So here you can find a complete list in this very helpful guide of how you can use the funds, terms, definitions, who's eligible, etc. So this is just a guide that goes a lot more in depth about the program that may be helpful for you. The other helpful tip is they have what's called an RRF, knowledge-based support documentation. It's basically, in simplified terms, like a frequent asked questions where you can find answers. So if you click here, these are questions that people already asked and the SBA has responded. So these are answers directly from the SBA. So someone indicated, I returned some of my PPP loan. Do I enter the original amount or net amount after return? So click here and they give you the answer. It depends. And then they ask you to please review. So if the original PPP loan was reduced and corrected with the SBA, you may use the corrected value. If the original PPP loan was reduced and returned, but your lender has not corrected it, the loan with the SBA, you must do the following, either of the following. So this is just a really helpful guide. If you have a question and you're like, I have a question regarding ITIN, I have a question regarding eligible expenses. When did you have to start your business? Questions on retention credits, etc. You could do a little search here and it'll give you all the questions that are that come up. So let's say you gross receipts, anything that's tied to gross receipts, it will pull up all the questions and answers that are regarding gross receipts. Do you count tips towards gross receipts? No, according to SBA. So should employee retention credits be included in gross receipts? No. So this is a really helpful place to find answers to a lot of common questions that people are asking. The other thing is they have a call center support at 844-279-8898, and they do take assistance in other languages, which is great. So you could call and specify the language that you need, and they can let you know if they do have that assistance in that language. And they can answer questions that you may have regarding the portal. If you got stuck somewhere in the portal, if you have a question. I got a question not that long ago about an individual who uses an ITIN for their business, and their ITIN is expiring this year, and they had applied to get it renewed with the IRS, but they hadn't got the confirmation that it was renewed yet, so it wasn't a valid ITIN number, so they were asking me questions, but they also called the call center and they were able to get more information. So that is a helpful call number. You can also contact me, and I'll put my contact information in the chat box in a bit. Also want to show you that if you scroll all the way down, there is helpful information in other languages. So if you prefer to read things in Arabic or Hindi or a different type of language, you could go here and find information that the SBA has in other languages. And you could find like the guide in a different language. Some of the sample applications are in other languages, etc. I do want to let you know, for the first 21 days between May 3rd and May 24th, there is a priority period. So that priority period is for women, veterans, and socially and economically disadvantaged individual business owners. So if you meet one of those demographics, you have priority the first 21 days, which means you will be reviewed. If you submit it, you are in line to be reviewed in the first 21 days. Now, if you do not meet that demographic, if you're not a woman, not a veteran, you're not part of the social and economically disadvantaged individuals, we highly recommend that you still apply now. That way you get your place in line. However, your application to the SBA will not be reviewed until day 22, or as soon as they could get to it. So as of day 22, they'll start opening it up to all business owners that qualify. So you just want to make sure that you get your application in sooner rather than later if you are not in the priority period, so you could get your place in line. If you're within the priority period, please take advantage of being in the priority groups and get your application submitted sooner rather than later. This fund is for $28.6 billion, which is a lot of money, but this program is open to the entire country. So there is a lot of individuals applying for this program. So as we have seen with other federal programs, the program will close on the deadline they have assigned or before, when all funds have been exhausted. So for instance, the payment protection program for the SBA had a deadline, but they had closed it earlier because all funds had been exhausted. So you just want to make sure you apply sooner rather than later if you can. So some of the documentation that you're going to need when you apply is you're going to have to verify your gross receipts. And so here's a list of documentation where you could verify that. So your business tax returns. You could also submit your IRS forms 1040 Schedule C, external, internal prepared financial statements, point of sales, etc. The SBA has indicated that they prefer business tax returns. And if you don't have that, point of sales is the third option that they prefer, followed by the externally or internally prepared financial statements. You will be asked to submit the last 3 months of your bank statements. And so the last 3 months being from the point that you apply. So if you apply today, May 11th, you would submit April's, March, and February's bank statements of this year. Now, who can help you apply? Give me 1 second. So on Google, you go to DCEO, first stop. Click there, first stop. So first stop, this is for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunities first stop information centers page. But on this page, there's 3 different entities that can assist you at no cost to apply for this program. So we have what's called Illinois Small Business Development Centers, also known as SBDCs. There's 42 centers all across the state of Illinois. They can assist you at no cost to apply for this RRF program and other SBA programs if you are still considering one of the other programs that are open from the SBA. If you need assistance, they can schedule an appointment with you and sit down with you and help you through the application. We also have what's called community navigators. We have 12 community organizations that we're working with throughout the state of Illinois. And they are individuals who can also assist you in applying at no cost as well. And you could go here to find a list of the community navigators. Also, our Office of Minority and Economic Empowerment, also known as OMEE, O-M-E-E, we support minorities, women, persons with disabilities, and veteran-owned businesses. So you are more than welcome to reach out to us and we can assist you with the application. Or you could also reach out to the Office of Regional Economic Development within DCEO. They're also known as Team Red. I know, a lot of acronyms in the States. So Team Red is an office within DCEO that is, they have managers assigned to different regions in the state, and they assist all businesses, regardless of the type of business you are, big business, small business, etc. So there are individuals assigned to different regions. So they can also assist you with this application if you need any assistance. In order to find your SBDC, you would click here, find your nearest SBDC, go down a little bit to click here to find your SBDC in your area. And then you would go to this website and just enter your zip code. So let's say 60120 is my zip code, which is like the Elgin area, northwest suburbs of Chicago. These are all the SBDCs in my area within 100 miles. So there's one at the Elgin Community College, Harper College, College of DuPage, etc. Now, if you're in Chicago, let's say 60601, so that's a downtown zip code. Here, individuals can help you as a Women Business Development Center. There's the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Economic Strategy Development Corporation, etc. You can find a very long list of all our SBDCs that can assist you. And if I go back, I want to show you our Community Navigator list. So these are the 12 organizations that can assist you at no cost as well. And there's their contact information. You would send them an email and let them know that you need assistance applying for RRF and if you could schedule an appointment with them. Are there any questions? I'm trying to see if there are any questions. Oh, you're on mute.
I do have a question if I can ask.
Mhm.
In terms of, I know you said that this is not a loan, that it is a grant, but are there any conditions where we could, an individual could get awarded and not be something that could disqualify the person during the course of the program, that they'd have to make sure they've crossed those T's and dotted those I's? That's really kind of where I'm going.
Yes, so it is not a loan. So it is a funding program. The federal government is not using the word grant, but grant is like the easiest way to describe the program. If you're awarded the funds, as long as you use it for eligible costs, you don't have to pay the money back. So again, if you're using the money that was page 10 of that guide, if you're using it to pay rent, utilities, payroll, food and beverage expenses, supplier expenses, etc., you don't have to pay it back. Now, if you took that money and bought a brand new car for personal reasons, you will be asked to pay that money back, right? Because it's taxpayer money. But as long as you use it for the business, creating outdoor seating, constructing that outdoor seating area, that page 10 of the guide is really helpful of going those eligible costs. As long as you use it for the eligible costs, you will not be asked to pay it back. If you go outside of that, you may be asked to pay it back. So again, if you bought like a brand new car for personal use, that's outside the business.
Well, a number of businesses, have fallen behind, and it's not always an issue about capital, improvement or even rent, but they may have even accumulated real estate taxes or maybe even payroll obligations or anything like that. Would that qualify, or is that?
So payroll, you can use it to, if you have back payroll, you can use it to pay that back payroll. If you have, if you're backed up in paying your supplier costs, you can use that to pay that back supplier cost. You just have to use this money before, if I remember the exact date, it's March 11th of 2023. So you just have to use the money beforehand. If you are awarded the money, make sure you keep a paper trail, because the SBA will be reaching out to a small group of businesses at random and asking them how they use the funds. So let's say you're awarded $50,000. If possible, put it in a separate, business account. That way, that whole business account is just the RRF grant money. That way, you're like, okay, out of this $50,000, $10,000 went to payroll, $5,000 went to supplier costs, rent, etc. You have a very nice, easy log, just in case they reached out to you and asked you for documentation where that $50,000 went. It's easier for you to document where all that money went.
So I would assume too, if you, important to keep receipts or any invoices as well as the canceled check to further verify the use then.
Yes, you want to make sure you keep a paper trail of documentation, keep receipts, just keep a note of where the money for the funding is going if you're awarded. The nice thing is that the SBA has indicated if you submit all your documentation and a completed application in the portal, you will get a response within 14 days.
Mm.
So it's a quicker turnaround than other programs, as we have seen in the past. So as long as you submit that proper documentation for the gross receipts and you can submit a completed application, you'll get a response within 14 days. And again, within the portal on the left-hand side, you will already know the estimated amount that you may be awarded.
And then just to be clarify one aspect, to the extent you're looking to use money not so much to catch up, but to maybe further enhance the business, that will still be permissible. You know, in other
So,
words, like I said, let's say you have a restaurant that can accommodates 20 people, but you never had the funds there to build it out, which will help with me be more successful to go to say 40 sit-in patrons. Is that permitted, or is it really focusing on rejuvenating the business as it was?
so that is in a gray area. So if you are expanding to create outdoor seating, if you create a construction of outdoor seating to increase that business, so like the 20 to 40, if you increase the outdoor seating so you could sit 20 people outside, that is permitted. Now, if you expand indoors so you could fit 40 people, that is not permitted. So you could only use the money to assist you per the pandemic. And if for construction purposes, if you want to expand out, the money can't be used to create an outdoor seating area, not to expand the indoor seating area.
And I'm assuming it's outdoor because of the pandemic, and it's more healthy or less contagious to be outdoors as opposed to indoors then.
Correct. Correct. So you can use it for, constructing that area to have more seats outside. You can use it to pay the suppliers. Again, page 10 of that guide is extremely helpful, and it goes into that in detail of what you can and can't use the money for. Also, that like the frequent asked questions, that RF asks document database, you could go in there and ask your question there, and any questions that are similar will pop up, and you can see what you can use the eligible funds for.
Okay. And then the other, I mean, I know we're focused this afternoon on the restaurant restoration fund, but is there any other resources or information related to, this that you could share with our audience to, help them, in essence, restore their business?
Yeah. So at the federal government, the SBA still has the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also known as EIDL. So that is a loan program with a 30-year term. And if you're a for-profit with an interest rate of 3.75% or a nonprofit, 2.75%, you don't have to pay any payments until 2022. That is a loan program that's still eligible with the SBA. If you already have an EIDL loan, you cannot get a second one. What you can do is request that you be considered for a higher amount. So that's one option. If you are eligible for the Shutter Venue Operator Grant, so let's say you have a theater company, a music venue, etc., definitely apply for the Shutter Venue Operator Grant, because that one is a grant opportunity where you don't have to pay the money back as long as you use it for the business again. That's with the SBA. The other thing I want to let you know is, as we all know, the American Rescue Plan passed at the federal government level. State governments are in the process of receiving their funds and creating programs to assist residents, businesses, etc. So right now, the General Assembly is in session, and the General Assembly and the governor will work out a plan of how the state money will be used. So please stay in contact with us. Because if there are any programs created for business owners, we want to make sure we get you that information.
And then in terms of keeping in contact, is it just through sending an email to you or checking the website or all of the above?
All of the above. I will put my contact information in the chat. It's my work cell phone number is 312-919-3620. Feel free to call me or text me with any questions. My email is diana.alfaro@illinois.gov. So that's DIANA period ALF as in Frank ARO@illinois.gov. That's the email account. Also, we have at OMI a listserv, so you can sign up for a listserv and let us know what demographic identities you fall into, because sometimes we hear things that are just for women-owned businesses, or we hear something is for Black-owned businesses, or we hear that there is a grant opportunity for people in DuPage County or Cook County, etc. We want to make sure that we get as much information from you. That way, if we know anything that you're applicable for, we can get that information over to you.
One question, additional question we received in the chat is, would a banquet hall, would that still be within the scope of this program?
So a banquet hall, that's a good question. And I got that recently as well. Banquet hall, the question goes back to, did you have on-site sales for public consumption that equal to at least 33% of your gross receipts? So if you had at least, on-site sales for at least, that goes back to that last bullet of the eligibility. So you have to go back to that. Did you have at least 33% gross receipts that for on-site consumption?
And then for a banquet hall, I mean, to the extent that, like, say, weddings and whatever, kind of, as long as they're serving food with that on site, that would qualify them, if I'm understanding correctly.
It's that for the SBA, it's at 33% is for gross receipts on site consumption. So depending on how their gross receipts, they have to go back to their numbers. And as long as 33% of the gross receipts are from on-site consumption, then you would meet that last bullet. But it goes back to that on-site consumption piece.
Okay, and then just we received a related question to one asked earlier, about, and you can't, it's not intended for new, but to the extent that, let's say you're rejuvenating what is there, like repainting the inside of the restaurant, or put lighting, or replace, let me start with painting. Would that, I know I'm maybe nitpicking, but just kind of getting clarity for a member of our audience, would that fall within the scope of our eligible expenditure?
I would email me that question so I could get a direct answer that's very specific. Okay. And I will want to double check with the SBA. I don't want to lead you with the wrong answer. So definitely email me that question and I will make sure to get back to you.
All right.
If painting is appropriate.
We'll do that. All right. And then the final question I'm seeing in the chat is, would maybe it's, once again, we need to review the guide, but as just take advantage of your expertise while we have it, would a bakery also fall within the scope of the restaurant restoration fund?
Yeah, so the bakery, as long as your gross receipts are 33%, you're actually listed on the eligibility. There is a bullet for bakeries directly.
Oh, okay.
So bakeries are eligible as long as they had on-site sales of 33% of their gross receipts are from on-site consumption. Yeah, bakeries are included in this program.
So, and then, related question, I think as I recall, like food trucks are still, they fall within the scope, and I'm starting to play with this concept of on-site.
Well, the food trucks, there wasn't an on-site, if I remember correctly. I'm going to go back. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
And we'll go back to the eligibility. So we'll go back. Give me a second. So we go up to eligibility and who can apply. So food trucks don't have a 33% minimum. Restaurants don't either, caterers don't. It's where you get to those bakeries, breweries, microbreweries, wineries, inns, and other licensed facilities. So like, that banquet hall question we were answering,
I
those
see.
are the ones that have a minimum of 33%. All these other ones up here don't have the minimum of 33%.
And what I'm seeing as a common thread among this is, to the extent that we have some number of members who kind of supply some of these small vendors, like grocery stores. We have some, they really don't fall within this category then. Is that correct?
Correct. So if you're just a distributor alone, so like if you are distributing, let's say, for example, a bag of chips, and you're selling it at those restaurants, you're selling it on the food truck, you're selling it at the breweries. If your sales are from those businesses, then you're not, because you're only distributing now versus having outside sales.
I see. I see.
Mhm.
I see. I see. So the just the 21-day period once again runs from, was it May 3rd?
May 3rd until May 24th. However, if you are not in the priority groups, still apply sooner rather than later, because you get your place in line. You already hold that spot, versus waiting until day 22, and then you'll have a bunch of more people in front of you, versus if you apply today or tomorrow, you would put your place in line.
Okay. All righty. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. And we, unless anyone else would like to make a comment before we leave, I would, on behalf of CLGC and our community of organizations who reach out throughout greater Chicagoland with many small business people we thank you for your time this afternoon. Ms.
Shafiq may have a few words to say, Brother Mitchell.
Hmm?
Shafiq may have a few words to say also.
Oh, that's right. Here. Is he?
And I'm putting my contact information in the chat box now.
Thank you.
And feel free to reach out to us if you have other questions. And
Shafiq, you can mute yourself and you can
even if it's not related to the RF, if you are looking to get certified as women-owned, vet-owned, minority-owned, person with disability-owned business, let us know. Or if you're looking for other resources, if you need help with a business plan, a marketing plan, who can assist you, let us know. We could connect you with one of our small business development centers who can assist you with that business plan, that marketing plan, give you advice on financial bookkeeping, all at no cost. So if there's other resources that you need, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you. Yeah. I think, well, we had our member of our elderly Muslim. Oh, there he is. Shafiq.
I'm here. Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, sorry I was outside for a little while, but thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Diana, for making yourself available to do this event. And this is, I guess, maybe the 4th or 5th event we are doing together. So truly appreciate that on behalf of CAOGC and on behalf of the Illinois Muslim Chamber of Commerce. I'm looking forward to having more of such informative programs with you. And once again, thank you so much for everyone who participated, attended this event. Hope that you have learned something out of this, and hope we were able to be help for you on your attempt to get loan from the government. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
I look forward to continuing partnering for more webinars and getting information out and being accessible to the community. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. All right. So once again, on behalf of the Council of Islamic Organization, the Illinois Muslim Chamber of Commerce, and our special guest, Ms. Diana Alfaro, we thank you for joining us this afternoon, and have a pleasant day. And most important, take advantage of this information you've got this afternoon. Thank you.